the presentation is going on, just so we don't have any background noise. Go ahead and mute your lines if you could. You can keep your beautiful faces on camera for sure, so you can see who all is here. And we will be covering a few things throughout the call today. I'll give a quick intro, and then we have Jeff, our special guest, joining us from Rocky Mountaineer. I have my colleague Brian, who's many of you have maybe worked with before. He works behind the scenes for all of our women adventures that we have going on. So he is a big supporter as well of our community. So he's here to learn more about Rocky Mountaineer as well as we continue to create more experiences for people down the road. And then of course, Jenny. Jenny is our fearless wayfinder, aka coordinator for this particular experience. And I'll share more about the wayfinders here in just a moment. Again, thank you all for being here. It is so good to see a lot of familiar faces. For those of you who are here for the first time, I'm Erin. If we haven't met before, I've got basketball mom here today because I'm sitting in a parking lot in the middle of a school for a basketball tournament. So my life is on the go all the time, as I'm sure many of you are as well. But I love to travel. It's my passion. I want to create beautiful experiences for women. And Jenny and I, we have worked together to put together some beautiful itineraries, just like we did last year for Portugal and all of our ladies that attended that. And so I just want to definitely acknowledge you, Jenny, for a lot of work that you put into just supporting this community and making these experiences happen. So thank you so much. I mentioned Wayfinder. So in 2026, we've got 3 incredible adventures that we are planning. This is the first one we're kicking off today for our rail adventure in Canada. But we will also be releasing the details as we finalize the itinerary and pricing for our Argentina Chile tour at the beginning of 2026. And then we will also have a Sips and Seas Ireland adventure at the end of the year in October 2026. And for any of you who maybe don't have an adventure plan for the end of this year, just as a reminder, registration is ending by June 1st for our Greek Isles cruise. If anyone still wants to join, we have some space left there. We have almost 40 individuals signed up and coming for that experience. So we are just honored to be able to spend time with you, create experiences for you. And we really hope that this Canadian rail adventure, you'll want to be a part of that. As I mentioned, since we have 3 in 2026, and this community is loves to travel and growing way faster than I am in my own personal life, we decided to appoint wayfinders for our different travel experiences in 2026. And so our wayfinders are just our points of contact, the people that bring people together, the ones that will help you find your way on your journey as we take these experiences together. Because I will not personally be on every single adventure in 2026. I'd love to. Jenny said you may have FOMO. I will absolutely have FOMO. That is 100% true, but I'll also be really excited to just see everyone gather and have experiences together. So our wayfinders for this experience is Jenny. And Jenny, I'll let you share a little bit about yourself in just a moment. And then we have Mary Malenki, who's going to be our wayfinder for our Argentina Chile experience in early 2026. And then I will be your wayfinder for our Ireland experience. And so if you are interested in what that is and want to learn more about it, for anyone who's come on a previous experience with us, it's an opportunity to be able to kind of be the point person, to lead an experience that you really want to create for people and kind of be on the forefront in helping design that itinerary as well as connect with people along the way. So I'd love to share more about that. We've got experiences also heading into 2027. So if there's specific things that you'd like to do, you love to get people together, it may be a good opportunity for you to become one of our future wayfinders, as well as potentially get yourself a portion, if not all of your experience covered being a wayfinder. So little perks for being the point of contact for many of these experiences. With that, without further ado, I want to give Jenny just a couple of moments to introduce herself, since she will be your point person as you arrive in Vancouver in July 2026. So, Jenny, please share a little about you.
Well, thank you, Erin. Well, hi, everyone. I'm so excited to join this journey with all of you. So, a little bit about me. I'm located in Temecula, California, just an hour north of San Diego. We are in wine country, so if you ever want to come out here, that can be a trip as well for you. So, I'm just excited of getting all of us together and partnering here with Erin. We had an amazing trip in Portugal, making the connections, seeing the great places, and we're planning things for Greece together, and now leading into this adventure into Vancouver and Canada. So I'm just so excited to have all of you here, and I know that we've got many that are going to be listening to this recording afterwards. So I think we're going to have a great group, great experience, and again, just looking forward to connecting with all of you.
Thank you, Jenny, so much. I really appreciate it. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a special guest here. And Jeff, before I get to you, Brian, I just want you to take a moment. I know you didn't show up to say anything today, but I would just love for you to take just a moment to introduce yourself and why you're here.
Good morning, everybody. Some of you guys know me from behind the scenes, and it's really good to be with you. I own a travel company, Travel Well, and I'm here just to help you in any way, shape, or form behind the scenes, and just really believe in the power of transformative travel experiences. Knowing that travel is healing. Travel can just really change your life and be forever changed once you come back. So, looking forward to partnering with all of you and with Erin and Jenny, especially on this trip, and exciting to see where we'll be heading here in the future. But you're in for a really good treat on this trip. So look forward to connecting with you. If you need anything, just let me know. So good to be with you.
Yep. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for supporting. And just so everyone knows, send me any questions you have, and then I'll field them to Brian. That way he doesn't he doesn't have to comb through all of them. But well, I'll still be your point of contact here for any questions that you may have. And towards the end of this call, we will leave time for Q&A. Jeff has a lot of content to get through. I'm going to turn it over to you, Jeff. Let you introduce yourself. Thank you so much for being here.
Perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Bont. I'm one of the sales development managers here at Rocky Mountaineer, and I think I'll kick it off. And I think that was a great intro, and I really appreciated, Brian, what you shared as well. This is one of those experiences that is one of those must-dos. The fact that I kind of chuckle and say the fact that here you show up on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Easter weekend. I have sweet potatoes in the oven and a grocery list to take care of. But the fact that you all showed up for this means that this is pretty important to you and is high on your list. And my goal is pretty simple. It's just to move this up your list a little bit faster. And I think there's a lot of compelling reasons why the Canadian Rockies is really the perfect choice for a group departure and a group experience like this. I went to the Canadian Rockies for the first time in 1991. Absolutely fell in love with it, and I've had the privilege to have a 34-year travel career. And today, the Canadian Rockies still is my favorite place. I was here at Rocky Mountaineer for 8 years. I left for 2 and got the opportunity to work for a very high-end luxury tour company, and took 7 international trips in 2 years. But it never resonated with me as much as going on the Rocky Mountaineer and going to the Canadian Rockies specifically. I was in Vancouver on Tuesday, and we watched our first departure of our train go out with over 350 happy guests who were heading over to Banff and Lake Louise. And so my goal today is just to kind of walk you through what this experience is going to be like for you, and let you know how a train journey then also becomes a tour for you to really end up with that bucket list to come together. But the first part of this is really that 2-day train journey traveling from Vancouver over to Banff and Lake Louise. that opportunity to travel along these rail routes that were literally carved out. And this is one of the reasons why I always show this picture here. Think back to, I think it goes back to 1880. And this will probably be my only history lesson of today. But just as you look at this trestle bridge and you look at the train tracks that are traveling along these beautiful rivers through these deep canyons of the Canadian Rockies, that it took over 2,000 men to construct this rail route through this very rugged terrain. And on the first passage to the west, we are actually the only train company, the only passenger train company that gets to travel on that route. And I'll share more about that. But I think I just wanted to share that and just let you reflect of what it's going to be like for 2 days to sit on board the Rocky Mountaineer, to be served your drinks, your wine, have your breakfast and your lunch, and just experience nature at its best with really some of the best hosts in the travel industry. So we are, as I mentioned, a train company, Rocky Mountaineer, that's been operating in Western Canada. This is our 35th operating season now. We have 3 different routes, and today the route that I'm going to be sharing with you is the first passage to the west. It's the kind of the Burgundy route that travels along from Vancouver over to Kamloops, over to Lake Louise, and then over to Banff, and then you'll be flying home from Calgary. July 22nd through July 28th of 2026. Really that peak season, that perfect time to be in the Canadian Rockies. Perfect weather, and it's going to be a really special journey for you all to share together. The first passage to the west is, I promised you I'll probably only give you 1 history lesson, but I'll give you 2. This is our beautiful blue and white domed and gold train car. We are a privately held company based in Vancouver, and last year we hosted we've had 2.5 million guests travel with us on board Rocky Mountaineer over those 35 years. So truly is a unique experience to take in the Canadian Rockies the way that only Rocky Mountaineer can do it. So the first passage to the west is as it sounds. The first passage to the west is the original train route. So you picture the train coming across Trans-Canada to Calgary until about 1880. And it stopped there. So there really wasn't a Trans-Canada route that went from coast to coast. And they knew that there were these beautiful Canadian Rocky Mountains. There was this beautiful hotel, the Banff Springs Hotel, that was drawing people out to Banff National Park, but they had no way to construct that last 500 miles of train track between Vancouver and Calgary. And that's the rail route that we get to travel on. We call it the first passage to the west. There's 26, maybe 27 trains a day that travel on this route, but we are the only regularly scheduled passenger train that travels along the first passage to the west. As I mentioned, we travel from Vancouver over to Kamloops, where we spend the night, and then over to, in this case, on this departure, over to Banff, and where we'll have 2 nights over in Banff. And I'll go through the full itinerary here for you as well. But this is really the opportunity just to kind of hone in on what your departure is going to look like. So you'll start off with 2 days in Vancouver, staying at the Georgian Court. I stayed there, gosh, 10 years ago during my first training trip. And I was actually fortunate enough to stay there for 1 week. It feels like a Ritz-Carlton. It's a lovely hotel with a great restaurant in there. Frankie's Italian restaurant, and there also is the Frankie's Jazz Club, and it's right across the street from where they play soccer, and the World Cup will be in Vancouver next summer. So there'll be a lot of excitement, a lot of activity in Vancouver next summer. So you'll have 2 days in Vancouver and 2 nights in Vancouver, but you'll have 1 free day to get out and explore. Many of you have possibly already been to Vancouver and maybe on an Inside Passage cruise. You've fallen in love with that great city, but you want to just take it in just a little bit more. In fact, at the hotel, they'll have bike rentals available for you to go down onto the seawall, and then you could ride along the seawall over to Stanley Park. And I got pictures to show you there. What's unique here is that we travel about 250 miles of track length on this route. So when you leave the Georgian Court and you go over to the Rocky Mountaineer train station, your bags will actually not go on board the train with you. The bags actually go onto a transporter from your hotel, and those bags are then transported over to Kamloops ahead of the train. So when you arrive into Kamloops, the bags will be already in your room before you step off of the transportation over to the hotel. You will be given your room key. You'll bypass the front desk, walk right into your hotel room, and then you will open your door and your bags will magically appear in there. The next morning, and this is really where I think kind of that luxury experience takes place, where we've thought of all the small details. We will then just ask you to pack your bags and then leave your bag in your room. So you don't have to have those bags out that half hour, 45 minutes early. You can just leave your room, go down to the lobby, you'll board the motor coach, we'll take you over to the train, and then we'll continue on that next day of the journey over to Lake Louise, over to Banff, excuse me. And then where we'll spend 2 nights at the Caribou Lodge in Banff. And again, I'll show you some more pictures here as we go through. On board the train, you'll be traveling in our Silverleaf dome coaches. You can see here, if you can see my mouse, that's the Silverleaf train car here. It's a single level car with wraparound windows where there's 54 guests in that one train car. So I think this will maybe be my first challenge for Aaron and Jenny and Brian. Let's sell this out. Let's get 54 people and have 54 of you in this train car. I know we're not holding that much space at this point, but let's fill up this car with all your friends, because a day on board the train is really, really exciting. So here's kind of the artist rendering of the train, the outside of the train with those wraparound windows. But over on the left-hand side, you'll see very large, spacious, comfortable leather seats. And then you'll see those wraparound windows. So even on the other side of that aisle, when you're looking out and you want to see the tops of those mountain peaks, it's a really special experience. On board here in the middle picture, as I shared with you, we'll have 3 hosts and a culinary team member in there who are serving your breakfast and your lunch. In addition, I always say the bar opens at 10 a.m. And we continuously serve cocktails, wine, the Okanagan Valley wines that we're known for in this region, and regionally inspired food. You'll have 3 or 4 menu choice items to choose from. Any of you that have dietary needs, just when you're making your reservation, let Aaron and Jenny know, and we will make sure that if you have you're vegetarian, if you're lactose or maybe gluten-free, like my wife, we do an excellent job of taking care of those needs. And then finally, over on the right-hand side, that bottom picture on the right-hand side is where those hosts are interacting with you. What I really like about a Silverleaf service is those 54 guests become very close with those 3 hosts. They may have a tray of cocktails in their hand, get a buzz in their ear that there's a bear outside the train, and they'll grab a microphone, and then everybody shifts over to the right-hand side of the train to see the bear, and then they go on about their business. But throughout the day, they're telling you wonderful stories about the history. They're telling you about the topography of what you're seeing. They're telling you about those flowing rivers and the history of the rails, and they become a very integral part of that experience on board. Again, this is just a couple of depictions that I wanted to share with you. The top left-hand corner, this is our rail station. We own and operate our own rail station in Vancouver. And you're going to be greeted with bagpipers, and it's exciting to be able to step off the motor coach transfer from your hotel, just a short 7 to 10 minute ride over to our station. You're already pre-checked in, and then you board the train. This middle picture, again, is one of those wonderful pictures of the scene, so you can kind of understand spatially what those 10 hours per day are going to really feel like in the Silverleaf car. You'll be able to see wildlife outside. And then this picture here on the bottom is the outdoor area. This is the section between two cars where you can step outside, get a little bit of fresh air. But those of you that are photography buffs, you can step outside there and get those unfiltered pictures on your cameras and or your iPhones. And then, of course, as I mentioned, not only do we have breakfast and lunch served on board, there will be snacks throughout. And I can promise you, when you get off the train in Kamloops, and one of the questions you're going to ask me at the end is, well, where do I eat in Kamloops? Where do I eat in Banff? In Kamloops, you're going to be so full, you're not going to want to eat. But I'll give you an insider tip of where maybe you might want to go in Kamloops here. But again, Silverleaf is just that special experience. I really like zoning in on this picture because you're just going to be pampered at your seat there. A drop-down table, you can see the white linens, you can see the silver there on the tray, and it's just a wonderful experience on board the train. And I can't say enough about it. Again, here you'll see the plated foods through the specification. It's not just train food, it's very, very intricate planning that we have these meals so you have a great dining experience along the way. What did I do there? Okay, so you're going to arrive into Vancouver, and then we're going to get you over to the Georgian Courts, a wonderful property. Trying to even see if I can see it here on the map. I don't see the Georgian Court. It's going to be right around this area over here. But about 1.2 million visitors visit Vancouver every day. I've mentioned to you that you'll be able to maybe rent a bike if you chose to ride a bike. And if you can see my mouse here, you can go right along the seawall here, past the cruise ship terminal over here at Vancouver Place, and then right along the seawall, and then you can go over and ride or walk or whatever you want to do around Stanley Park, one of those special areas. I went over there, I think on Wednesday morning, and this time of year, you got the snow-capped peaks, and there's people up there skiing, and then also you see sailboats. So you can ski and you can sail all in the same day in this wonderful city of Vancouver. Here are some highlights over to Granville Island, the top photo here. Some wonderful sunsets. I think the sunset in July, when you're going to be there, is probably going to be 9:30 at night. And then this is one of my favorite pictures here. This is Stanley Park looking back towards downtown Vancouver. So just a very special place. If you have time, you may want to go out to the Capilano Suspension Bridge to the park there. And it's just right outside the city, and a really special experience there as well.
Jeff, I just wanted to add that is included in their tour.
That is included. Good. Yep. I couldn't remember if you included it in there, but the Capilano Suspension Bridge is a highlight that I've been able to enjoy several times. The first time I was like, man, there's so much to do in Vancouver, but to be able to step outside the city and go over to the suspension bridge, it's a really special day. So very happy we did that. And as I said, here's all the sailboats, here's Stanley Park, and you can see the skyline of Vancouver on the other side. But as I mentioned, we're gonna then start traveling after 2 nights at the Georgian Court. We're gonna start traveling out of Vancouver over to Kamloops, where we'll be traveling about 260 miles through what's the first day. And when you see the first glimpses of mountains, you're going to say, oh, they're so beautiful. But as you start getting closer to Kamloops, as you'll see in this picture, you're going to be traveling across the river. A lot of guests will say, what is the best side of the train to sit on? And I say both, because sometimes you're alongside the river, and then you'll cross a bridge and be on the other side of the river, and so you kind of change sides, as you can see that bridge there, and you will sometimes be along the rock face, and other times you'll be looking down into the river. One of the highlights for me on board the train, especially that first day leaving Vancouver, is more dry, is more arid, and you'll see more deserty type conditions. So you'll see farms, you'll see horses, you're going to see cows, but then you'll also see deer and etc., as well as maybe some bald eagle and some other birds as well. But then as we get into Kamloops, a lot of our guests will say, why do you stay in Kamloops? And I can conveniently say because it's halfway. But Kamloops actually is a town that has about 100,000 guests in there. Over here, if you can see my mouse moving, is where there's a city park. And we don't assign your hotel in Kamloops until about 2 weeks prior to departure. And the only reason we do that is because it depends on what train car you're assigned to and how everything is flowing there. My guess, when we get towards the end of July, there will be between 650 to 900 guests on board the train. But we make it very convenient. When we pull into the rail yard, we have a motor coach that pulls right up next to your train car. You step off the train, step right onto the motor coach, and then we'll drive about 10 minutes over to your hotel. And as I said, that's where your bags will be waiting for you in your room. And then you'll be able to walk down the Victoria Avenue in Kamloops. We'll get in there approximately 6:30 at night. Most of the stores and restaurants start closing around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But you'll have an early morning the next morning. So you will be in bed fairly early. But if you follow my recommendation, you'll go to a place called the Noble Pig. And what I can promise you all, about 2 weeks before your departure, we can pull together another webinar, and I can go over all the details, and you can write down some of the recommended restaurants and that I suggest. But then the next day is where you really start getting into those deep parts of those Canadian Rockies. You can even see here that the water colors start changing, because that turquoise or that green color waters that you see there, that's the silt runoff from those glaciers that creates these unique colors, especially on the second day. You'll have the wildflowers growing that time of year, and it's just a really special experience as you're traveling, again, that 10 hours from Kamloops over to Banff. The wildlife will change as well. Hopefully you'll get to see a bear. Hopefully you'll get to see the bald eagle. The bald eagle really like to sit up on the post alongside the rail tracks, and they like to swoop down and maybe grab into the fish or maybe some of the salmon that are there. I've been probably 10 to 12 times on the train. I've never seen a moose in Canada. Everything you see in all the gift stores always highlight the moose, but I haven't seen a moose yet. I've seen the bear, I've seen the bald eagle, I've seen the elk, but I just haven't seen a moose yet. But the wildlife sighting on board is really special. But what's really special is just being able to sit back, hear the stories, and consider this bridge that obviously it's been constructed, but these bridges and this path that you're traveling was constructed in the late 1800s, and we are the only passenger train that travels through there. One of the highlights of this trip is we get to go through the town of Craigellachie. When they made the train, one group of men started in Vancouver, the other group of men started in Calgary, and they met halfway. And they met in the very last ceremonial, last spike was driven in the little town of Craigellachie. Our train continuously moves through the day, but we almost come to a stop, and you'll hear the history of Craigellachie, where they drove in the last spike, and they were able to connect two rail tracks that started 500 miles apart, and they were within about a half inch of being perfect when they joined those two rail tracks together. The other highlight of this track, if any of you are engineers and are interested, there's a series of tunnels that we enter. So to be able to go up and down a mountain safely, a train has to go at about a 4.6% grade. When they first built this train track, the first train that came down was not able to sustain itself, and the first engineers perished because the train crashed. So they had to figure out how the train can go up and down the mountain safely. And that is through a series of tunnels called the spiral tunnels. So as you'll be ascending the mountain, we will go into a tunnel, and that tunnel will take you through the mountain, and you'll come up 600 feet higher than where you started. The train goes along the side of the mountain, you'll enter another tunnel, and that will kind of spiral through the mountain, and you'll come up another 600 feet higher in that tunnel, which allows us to go up about 1,500 feet in elevation. It takes about an hour to do it, but it's a fascinating experience to be able to go through the spiral tunnels. And as I said, we are the only passenger train that gets to do it. So that's the 2-day train journey, about 500 miles of track length and silverleaf service going from Vancouver over to Banff. And then we get into what my favorite mountain town in the whole world is Banff. This is Banff Avenue, right downtown Banff. And your hotel is the Caribou Lodge. You might think that's the only place to stay in Banff would be the Banff Springs Lodge. Those rooms come at a very high cost, and they don't really like to give us group space there. So, but at the end of the day, staying at the Caribou Lodge is right down here in the main shopping area. So on that free time that you have, you can walk right out of the front door. You can walk down Banff Avenue, go to the shops and restaurants, and just take in those wonderful sights. There is a free town transportation that comes with your hotel key. You can ride the town transportation. It's only about 1.25 miles from the Caribou Lodge, maybe 1.5 miles to go up to the Banff Springs. And I'd love to go up to the Banff Springs and sit on their patio overlooking the Bow River and have a glass of local beer or local wine and really take that in. But we got plenty of sightseeing for you. And that one of my favorite places to go, this is right at Surprise Corner. This gives you that incredible view of the Banff Springs Hotel. I will also say I wasn't here at the beginning of the selection of the hotels on this particular tour, but I typically discourage groups from staying here. One, this is a 130-year-old hotel. It's a fascinating hotel with fascinating history. It was purpose-built for the railway. This was a Canadian Pacific hotel because they knew that the only way they could get train passengers to actually come out was to build this grand hotel. The challenge with this hotel, with having 15 or 20 rooms as part of your group, some of you would say, "Man, my room's beautiful. You got a great view of the Bow River, but my bathroom's really small." And then the next person says, "Well, my room has a great view of the mountain, but my bathroom is very large." Each room is configured in a different ways, not your typical kind of group hotel. So, but you'll have wonderful views there, and you'll have an opportunity to go up there. If you can see this other hotel property up here on the left-hand side where my mouse is, that's where the Banff, right around there is where the Banff Gondola goes up Sulphur Mountain, and we will include a trip up Sulphur Mountain for you to see the wonderful town of Banff. Here's the downtown area again, wonderful shops, wonderful restaurants. Here is a great view of the Bow River. There's a great walking path along the Bow River. You'll actually see fishermen out here fly fishing in the river. And in July, I'm assuming you're going to have a 75-degree perfect day, perfect nights, and perfect scenery. And here's the town of Banff. This is the Banff Gondola that goes up Sulphur Mountain, and then you'll have that opportunity to travel up and see overlooking the town. You can see right down here at the bottom, if you can see my mouse again, that's the Banff Springs Hotel. And then if any of you are golfers, you can also maybe see if you can secure a tee time playing here at the Banff Springs Golf Course. And I've played here. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. Very expensive, but many of the holes are right along the Bow River there. So you might think about that as well in some of your free time. As I mentioned, we are going to take you out to see some of the key highlights, and we don't own our motor coaches, but we partner with a company called Pursuit, and you will have for your group this motor coach to take you out to Lake Louise. While we're not staying at Lake Louise, we will have access and have some time for you to go to Lake Louise, walk around the lake, maybe even take the canoe out, but we'll take you out on a waterfalls and lakes tour. And one of the great places is to go is out to Yoho National Park. There's a wonderful waterfall area, but the next photo, and actually I believe we're having lunch out here at Emerald Lake. This is Emerald Lake. This is the Emerald Lake Lodge where we have lunch. And this is one of those areas that many people miss. And so you'll get to see Lake Louise, but I think one of the most awe-inspiring lakes that I remember visiting is Emerald Lake. And I'm happy that we've included this for you, and we'll be including lunch. We will be also including most breakfast. I think we have breakfast every day. Is that right, Aaron?
Yep, breakfast at accommodations on the non-rail days. And then I forgot to put in the chat, there is lunch provided one of the days as well, which is listed out on our webpage.
Yeah, but I think it's right here where the yellow umbrellas out here, right here at Emerald Lake.
I
And
thought it was at a different lake on the return back, but I will double check that.
might be, but I think it's this one, but we have lots of different tour options, and I have probably 25 different groups I'm working with. So excuse me for my details, but we'll get this all cleaned up for you, and then we'll do your pre-trip departure meeting as well. And then we'll go over to Calgary. Calgary is only about 90 minutes from Banff. A wonderful drive over to Calgary, and we're staying at the Delta Hotel in Calgary. You'll have that evening. We'll get in there probably around 5 o'clock, and then you have the evening to it's the hotel. The Delta is right downtown. Wonderful walking, wonderful shopping. Again, sunsets at 9:30 at night, and then you might even take time to go up and do the Calgary Tower, where they have one of those glass walks up there. I've done it. I don't have to do it again. I get a little nervous on those glass walkways, but a wonderful 6-night tour for you that I think is going to give you all the great highlights. So I think I can open it up for questions. Unless I missed anything.
Okay. There were some questions in the chat. I did find out, the Emerald Lake Lodge is where we're going to be having lunch outside of, is that the one that's on Lake Louise?
No, Lake Louise is where the Chateau Lake Louise is.
Got it. Yeah, so we'll have lunch on the way back at Emerald Lake Lodge.
Actually, Banff to Lake Louise is about 45 minutes, and then from Banff over to Yoho, you're traveling west again, and that's 45 minutes. But it's a great drive, and we actually passed the spiral tunnels, and if we get lucky, the motor coach will stop at the spiral tunnels, and you'll get to see a train going through the same tunnels that you went through.
Beautiful.
Aaron, do you okay with the chat questions at all?
Yeah, everyone that has questions, I would encourage you, please put them into the chat. If we need to take you off mute to clarify anything, we absolutely will. First question from Sue, about how long would the longest bus ride be? Based on what you know about the itinerary, Jeff.
What's nice about this is everything's pretty compact. So as I was saying, when you go Banff to Lake Louise to see Lake Louise, 45-minute bus ride, 45-minute ride out to Yoho National Park, and then we probably will go straight back to Banff, and that would be about an hour and a half. So I would say the longest bus ride would be an hour and a half, but that longest day is when we check out of the Caribou Lodge in Banff, and then go over to Calgary. That's when we do that tour, and that. So, but I'd say the longest stretch you'll be on the motor coach will be an hour and a half or 2 hours max.
Okay, perfect. And then can you talk a little bit about, I know you talked about the dining, the food. Can you talk about what like other inclusions because I know that the train itself is all inclusive. Could you dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so all gratuities for the host are included, so you won't have to reach in your pocket and provide gratuities to them. At the end of that 2-day experience, if they were above and beyond or always perfectly poured your favorite beverage, I understand those Temecula friends and ladies love wine, so if they pour you extra wine and you want to give them a little extra gratuity, that's fine. Breakfast will be included every day. And I personally, I've worked for an escorted tour company for the last 2 years. And it's nice to have a dinner here and there, but when you're in Banff, there's so many choices. And we're not including the dinners in Vancouver and in Banff because we know you're going to want to make some of those choices. I had the other night, on Thursday night in Vancouver, I had poutine. If you haven't had poutine, which is, the guys like French fries with gravy and cheese curds, but it's a Canadian thing, and I had that. And then I went and had sushi, some of the best sushi I've ever had. So we want you to get out and explore and have taste some of the local flavors for your dinners. And lunch, we have the one included lunch off of the train when we're out touring because there's only the one spot to dine in, so we included that one lunch. But in Calgary, again, your tour director, your host will be able to help you decide and give you some great recommendations for dinner in Calgary. What other questions? I don't have the chat pulled open yet.
I think you covered most of what was in the chat. And I think the one thing we're still working on here is whether it's co-ed or fall women. Because I see there's a couple of questions they want to do.
Yeah, sorry, my phone was overheating and literally shut me down. So I have to stay close to the AC. Apparently it's too warm down here in the cities, Heather, unlike Ely where it's snowing. All right. So our adventures are specifically designed for women in 2026. Jenny and I were kind of chatting behind the scenes as we know some of the widowed men in her community had wanted to come like on our Greek Isles cruise this year, and it was a little bit different type of experience. So we did open it up to any widowed men or partners of our travelers. And so we did talk about for the train, we are open to allowing any widowed men in the community as well as partners of our travelers to come along for this adventure. We do try to create unique experiences for our women to get together on these tours, and so we will keep that at the forefront of every trip that we have. So that I hope that answers that question. Argentina, Chile, and Ireland specifically will be 100% women, but we will open up the co-ed piece of it for those, again, widowed men and partners of our women that are traveling.
Yeah, and that's probably, I probably didn't highlight enough, Aaron, on here is that traveling on board the train is a really awesome social experience. We find that people are, you're sitting with we do have assigned seats on the train, and you'll be sitting next to likely your roommate, but people end up switching spots and they end up in that section between the two train cars taking pictures. And next thing you know, there's somebody else on the train car that you might share a picture with and there's a new friend that's traveling from Australia, from the UK, from Canada, or another part of the United States. So it becomes a social experience on board the train.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Any other questions? Feel free, if you haven't dropped them in the chat, to send them to me via email at hello@aaronhenty.com. Also, I'm dropping in the chat here in just 1 second. I will drop the link to the webpage that outlines a lot of the details. I want to let you know you are the first individuals. This webpage isn't even like live to the public on my website yet. It's only available to you. So the itinerary piece of it is going to get built out a little bit more, but it does give you a good overview, including pricing and also deposits for this experience. And just to highlight, I dropped the link inside the chat for the webpage. You'll note that deposits for Rocky Mountaineer are non-refundable. So when you go to register for the experience, if you want to purchase, cancel for any reason, coverage, you'll want to make sure you indicate that. So that way, if you do need to cancel, that deposit can be refunded to you. Also, final payments won't be due until I think it's May of next year. And so we just need to get everybody registered. And the pricing that's included out on the website, it does include a discount because for if we get 10 travelers signed up by May 30th, and that's not me doing a sales pitch, but kind of, because if we get 10 travelers, we get a discount across the board for everybody that's going to be coming on this experience of around $300. And that price is included on what's out on the website. We usually have 10 or more people sign up right away. So we don't see that being a problem, but I do want to mention that it's reflective of that as well. For anybody who has a roommate, double occupancy deposits due are $1,200, and then for those that have single occupancy, the deposit due will be $1,400. That's all listed out on the webpage. If you say, I would love to have a roommate, but I don't know who my roommate would be yet, we've got lots of time between now and next year. We will source a roommate for you if other people are looking for roommates to match you up. However, we cannot guarantee that. So if you are concerned about not being able to get your refund back or not finding a roommate, those types of things, I just want to encourage you to let's have a conversation about that before you get signed up. But I will encourage you, we do only have a limit, even though there's 54 spots on that train car, as Jeff mentioned, we do only have 29 spaces actually secured for our particular group. In our group, for any of the excursions that we're doing, the excursions are unique to our group that we're doing, and only you will be aboard the bus when we do Lake Louise and the Vancouver and Banff tours that are planned. That I was told. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah,
You're
that's
shaking.
correct. I should have mentioned that. So yeah, when you get your group filled up and you get 20 or more, you'll have the full motor coach. So it makes it nice and exclusive. You can spread out on the motor coach and just enjoy the trip.
Perfect.
Limited time, this, traveling to the Canadian Rockies off of the train is truly about enjoying the beauty, seeing those vast mountains and that. So really, it takes the motor coach to get out there, but hour and a half each way max. But this is truly enough time to do some things on your own, as well as having some.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I'm going to wait to send the link out for others that did not attend the webinar today. I'm going to wait to send that out. So you ladies really have the first dibs on getting registered for the Rocky Mountaineer. And then I will tomorrow's Easter. We have to observe the holiday for some of us. But I will get that out early next week. I'll start posting online for others to be able to register as well. But I did want to say it's open for you. You have the link. If you don't grab the link from the chat, I'll be emailing it out with the follow-up recording after the call today. Jenny, do you see any other questions or the questions that you have?
I don't see any other questions in the chat, and you both have covered quite a bit. So I think if anyone thinks of anything, like you mentioned, we can give you and send you an email.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Well, I'm here. Everyone, I think in this group knows how to get a hold of me. We've got the Facebook group, email. Some of you have my phone number. Don't hesitate to reach out. Many of you are connected through Jenny and her Widows That Wine Together group. So reach out to Jenny. She's always open to, I think I'm just volunteering you, but you're usually open to answering questions or piling the questions together and sending them over to me. So we'll be happy to answer anything that you have questions or concerns about. Again, the webpage has a lot of everything you need there. We're going to continue to build it out. there's a book your spot on the website. So you can click the link, fill out the form. At the end, you'll submit your credit card authorization to hold your spot for your deposit. If you want insurance, again, indicate that, and we will make sure that we include that as well for you. And then also, if you'd like to see a quick video, YouTube video that Rocky Mountaineers put together, that's also linked out on my webpage. So go out there, check it out. And again, let us know what questions. It'd be great if you post them in the Facebook community. I'm sure others will have similar questions, and so we can just answer them for you right there. Anything else that you wanted to add, Jeff?
No, just thank you for having me, and wish everybody a great weekend with your families. And it's gonna rain all weekend in Tulsa, and it sounds like it's snowing somewhere else, and probably a little warm and dry in Temecula. But wish everybody have a happy Easter and a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much for taking time to be here, as well as Brian, Jenny. Thank you all for kind of helping team up today to make this webinar happen. And for those of you who invested your time to be here today, we're really looking forward to you coming on one of our upcoming adventures. Again, questions, concerns, feedback, we'd love to have it. It'll only help us improve our other webinars and experience for you. So we are open to it. All right, everyone, enjoy the beautiful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Everyone, take care.
Yep,
Bye.
have a good day.